Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first live webinar. My name's Phil Worden. I'm the Director of Franke Bearings UK Limited. Basically, we're just here to give you a short introduction on some of the Franke products. Quick intro. Obviously, the idea of the 4-point contact bearing was invented in 1963 by Eric Franke. Over the years, Franke have constantly enhanced the principle of the 4-point system. This allows for a maximum degree of flexibility in your application, as you can see there, which is why customers choose to use the Franke bearing, which gives them the opportunity to look at whatever size of bearing, bore, gear they require. There are quite a number of standard products for the Franke range. However, 95% of the products are individual customer solutions. First of all, we're going to start with the bearing elements. This is what is known as an LER bearing element. This is constructed of 4 raceways with a ball cage and obviously balls on the inside. The 4 raceways are a hardened steel drawn raceway, and these are available from sizes from 40 millimeters up to 9 meters in diameter. The designed for medium rotational speeds and accuracies, and they require very small mounting space, as you can see by this little chap here, and they can be installed into most materials really. Obviously, standard raceways come as hardened steel with a blue ball cage and hardened steel balls. However, they are available with a coated raceway, which obviously stops ingress of water and rust and all the contaminants. You can opt for stainless steel balls, and you can opt for different cage materials dependent on the application. So that's a brief overview of the LER bearing element. Now, the other one is the LEL bearing element. Now, to the untrained eye, it looks very similar to the LER. However, these are a different profile. It's a round raceway, and on the internal, it's ground, which gives you a very, very accurate bearing once it's installed into your application. The raceways are ground with a CNC machine, and the technology behind it is very close knit, to the point where Franke actually build their own machines to grind the raceways. These bearings can be installed into obviously a very small mounting space as well, as small as 5 by 6 millimeters, depending on obviously the diameter of the bearing. The other good point of the Franke bearing is obviously dependent on the customer's application. You can preload the bearings to whatever your desire is. So obviously it gives the customer maximum flexibility in their design. Now these raceways are available in stainless steel. Again, the balls can be constructed of stainless steel as well, and also the cage in between that can be manufactured out of different materials also. So that's your LEL bearing element. Now, I haven't actually got one to show you, but there is a picture there. That's the LEW bearing element. This is a crossed roller arrangement. These are suitable for medium rotational speeds and accuracies. Very, very smooth running under high load and high tilt moments. These bearings offer the greatest possibility for the preload, as mentioned before. So they're the sort of three main bearing elements that Franke use currently. And these are obviously the main focus for Franke Bearings. Now, as mentioned, these get put directly into your structure, your application, whatever that may be. However, if needs be, Franke do such a thing as the bearing assembly. And as you can see on the inside of this cutout, it still incorporates the 4-point design. Also available are different designs in bearings. Obviously, as you can see, this one's got a toothed gear on the outside. We also do an aluminium variety, all carrying the same 4-point contact system in the middle. Obviously, just different designs as to how the customer wants them. Again, some of the, well, you can see this big boy here. These up to potentially 600 millimeters in diameter. They are available on stock, so very, very short lead times. And different varieties of bearing, whatever the customer decides. So that's your bearing assemblies. We've also got now as well, I haven't actually got one here to show you, we've also got plastic outer and inner rings, and these have got a stainless raceway system internally. These are good for applications such as wash down or clean rooms. So there's another option. But as mentioned before, yes, a lot of these are stock bearings as such, but 95% of bearings that come out of the Franke factory are bespoke and custom designed to whatever that application may be. Right, now the latest bit of technology from Franke, we've got a couple of Franke torque motors here. I'll just switch the torque motors on. We've got two currently here. This is a demonstration unit, and obviously we've got one of the standard, that's a class as an LTD 100. Now the torque motors are a very, very accurate way of indexing for customers. They can be set to the customer's specific needs. Obviously they'll index left and right at whatever speed you want, and they will index round to a certain point of whatever that desire is. The controllers, we can use several different controllers for the motor, and obviously, as mentioned, you know, we can program those to whatever the customer's needs are. I'll just turn that one off, it's a little bit noisy. Now then, Another product from the Franke range is the Franke Linear. I'll grab this because it's not too heavy. So obviously we've got an aluminium designed rail, and as you will see, they've got the hardened steel raceways on the inside. Very lightweight, ideal for clean room applications and high speed applications. I'll just pop that back on there and grab this one because it's a bit easier to see. So instead of having a reciprocating ball, what they've got inside is a roller cage, and there's 4 of those. Again, back to the 4-point concept that Franke worked with. And each of these run on the hardened raceways, and on the side you can see there's a tiny grub screw there. This is again used to set the preload of the bearing, so you can have it running or as tight or as slack as you wish, really. These are again available in different varieties. We've got stainless versions, where obviously the aluminium block and housing is still the same, and obviously the rail is still aluminium. The raceways could be a stainless steel. They also do a vacuum safe variation, which is good for obviously vacuum setups. There's no lubrication inside, and obviously no nasties will creep out and potentially spoil the machine. So they are the Franke Linear. Now you'll see on this one here we have an integral clamp, and basically that locks up, and it will obviously stop the cassette from moving in whatever desired area it is. This obviously is a design that doesn't incorporate an extra clamp, which a lot of the competitors need. Now, they're in different sizes. As you can see, this tiny little cassette here, FDA 12, up to the big boy there. So that's a rough insight into obviously the Franke products. We have had a couple of questions which have been asked already. So I'm going to just go through those. So one question that was asked over social media about the linear rails. They are the maintenance free. So basically, as you will see, there is no lubrication points on the actual bearing. They come preloaded with grease in the rollers. So they're actually they're lubricated for life. So it's a very, very clean and efficient way of for using a linear rail. So hopefully that answers your question, John. Another question that we had, excuse me, what controllers can be used for the torque motor? Good question. Several controllers. That one there has got an Elmore controller on it. Now, the Franke have got preferred suppliers or known controllers that obviously are compatible, such as Bosch, Rexroth, Elmore, Kollmorgen, LTI, Siemens. So you've got a multitude of different controllers that you can actually link up with the torque motor and obviously get it working. Just nipping back to the torque motor, as I said before, this is an LTD 100. They come in 3 different sizes as standard. a 215, a 285 and a 385. So obviously they're getting bigger in diameter. But again, they can be made to whatever sort of diameter that you particularly need. So I've got another question here. We've got a high temperature application. What happens to the blue ball cage? So as you can see here, obviously this is a hard plastic nylon cage with the balls in, and all the Franke rotary use the same principle. So obviously, depending on what the temperature may be, off the top of my head, I think up to a brief spell of 100 degrees, this blue cage is fine. But if you were to go higher than that, obviously the heat has implications on obviously the wire races and the balls. So we can opt for a stainless steel raceway. We can also look at using ceramic balls. We can also look at changing the cage to either a peak or a stainless steel or a tin arrangement. The options are endless, really. But what we have got with Franke is a very, very good team over in Germany that are we've got our own dedicated UK contact that we can obviously fire ideas to each other, and they've got a full design team over there that will obviously help get the design and what's going to work for your particular application. So if there is any sort of out there ideas that you're not too sure about, by all means get in touch with us and see where we go. Now another question, I think I covered this before. What sort of diameter can a wire race bearing be produced to? Well, again, good question. We can produce the wire race bearings up to about 9 meters. The bearing assemblies are up to 1800, so 1.8 meters. That's down to obviously the machine bed that the inner and outer ring have got to be machined onto. But for obviously specific applications, if you were to want a 9 meter, let's say, wire race bearing, then yeah, that's available. Obviously the wires diameters, they change in size, and obviously the balls will change in size. But again, for the whatever application it may be, we would quite happily assist you through to through the design process up to the manufacturing process. So I've got another question here. What data is needed for the calculation of a wire race bearing? Now, basically, we need as much information as we can to assist you to get the right bearing element, whether it be the LEW, the LER, the LEL, whatever it may be. So we would need some static, radial and axial loads, some dynamic loadings, what speeds would be used, what temperatures would be used, and is there any tilt moments, as in overhanging loads. Once we've got all these bits and bobs of information from you, we can obviously, the design team over in Germany can work their magic and hopefully get you a solution to your problem. Now, just before we draw to a close, we've also got, as you can see here, this is a 3D printed bearing, extremely light. I think it's about 90 grams. So it's forefront technology. Again, it's got a very small bearing element in the middle to enable it to maneuver around and such like. So yeah, that's just another bit of technology that was designed really initially for a helicopter ambulance, I believe. So obviously very light, very strong, very tough. Yeah. Now, I'm not too sure whether we've got any questions come through on live feed. Nothing as yet. So I'll no more questions. I'll draw this to a close. Hopefully, we'll see you again in the near future. Thank you for attending, and any feedback, please leave on all our social media, which I think you will be seeing very shortly. Thank you very much.